Good morning, everyone. It's 10 a.m., so we can start our meeting. Good morning, NJ members and friends, and thank you for joining us today for our third of three meetings of 2024. This is our final triannual meeting in 2024. I myself, Giri Venkatela, new Innovation Officer at Bureau of Research, Innovation and Information Transfer, BRIT, and moving forward, your host for NJSTIC meetings. As always, you are encouraged to turn your cameras and show your faces. I just ask you to please mute yourself unless you are a presenter or asking a question. We will be monitoring the chat, so please feel free if you have any questions, comments along the way, and we'll do our best to respond to all of them. Next, it is my great pleasure to invite Assistant Commissioner of Statewide Planning, Safety, and Capital Investment, Eric Powers, for a quick welcome and hello. Eric, please.
Very quick thank you. You're doing a great job as the master of ceremonies, so you'll get more of these meetings going. The feature presentation later today is going to be on the safe system approach. And safety is definitely something that the department has been leaning into. And I look forward to seeing how safety and the safe systems approach integrates with this effort. Recently, the department updated, and there was a press release on December 12th for our complete streets policy. A lot of work went into updating that complete streets policy, and that also dovetails nicely with the safe systems approach. So welcome to this meeting. I'm looking forward to the feature presentation. I'll turn it back to our master of ceremonies.
Thank you so much, Eric. Next, so we have our feature presentation, as Eric mentioned, on the safe system approach in New Jersey later in our agenda. So the presentation it's going to cover by Jeevanjot Singh. Okay. Next, I would like to invite Chris Page, Innovation Coordinator and Community Planner of our FSWA NJ Division Office, to discuss some FSWA updates. Chris.
All right. Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'll be brief as possible. Just a few updates from my end. I want to thank everyone for getting their progress reports in on time last month. Everyone submitted them on time. We were able to get those over to headquarters. So again, I want to thank you for that. In February, the EDC 8, Every Day Counts 8 program, they started their call for ideas, which is basically solicitation for any of the new innovations that could be rolled out. So if you have anything or anything in mind, give it some thought. Please send it to that email on the screen there. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to help any way I can. So feel free to email me. My email is going to be on the next slide. So if you have any questions or if you have any thoughts, just, let me know and I'll be happy to help. The other thing is the fiscal year 25 STIC incentive funding requests. They opened in October and they will be closing in July. Please note that is different. In the past, they usually close in early August timeframe. So that date has moved up. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. And I have some details on that on the next slide. So if we can just go to the next slide, please. So like I said, the STIC incentive applications are open. You do have some time, a lot of time actually. So if you have any ideas or any questions, again, just please let me know. The application process is it's not very difficult. It's actually very streamlined. Just know, if you have any ideas, just know what the work you want to do, the schedule and the budget. You have 125,000 to use, and the program requirements are on that link in that website on the STIC website. So please, myself or Gary, know if you have any questions. And like I said, our contact information is there. So that is all I had, and I will turn it back to you, Gary. And everybody, please have a safe and happy holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Next, we have our updates from our CAA team leads, where we get to hear what the implementation teams have been doing since our last meeting in August. We will continue sharing our screen for the team members. So just tell us next if we have not advanced your slide already. If you have any questions or for our CAA teams, please hold those questions till the end of all the updates, and we'll have like 5 minutes on Q&As if you have any questions, or you are feel free to put in the chat. So we are continuously monitoring our chat for questions. So first up, so please welcome Dan Lesanti and Alan Huff from our safety CAA team.
Thanks, Gary. The slide before for next time, Gary, we have to revise that. Amy's no longer with the New Jersey FHWA. It's Alan Huff, as you just stated. So we have two initiatives under EDC 7. I'm going to hand this over for the first slide to Alan Huff. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dan. So as a part of NJDOT's task for the NJDOT Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center, Rutgers VTC and Rowan University continue to finalize pedestrian scale lighting best practices. This resource, aimed at county and municipal governments, is designed to help communities identify and implement effective pedestrian lighting solutions and enhance pedestrian safety by addressing visibility as a contributing factor to fatality and serious injury crashes. Rowan and VTC are in the process of drafting the final pedestrian scale lighting resource to be shared for review with NJDOT and subject matter experts. The draft ped scale lighting resource includes an introduction and background on ped scale lighting, how to scope projects and identify locations with the highest safety and equity needs, what data are needed to plan and design ped scale lighting, an overview of the ped scale lighting design process, including decision trees for determining optimal lighting levels, fixture placement, spacing, and height, and selecting appropriate lighting fixtures based on local context, and how to work with utility companies. The guide will also cover new technologies and discuss cost and environmental considerations. All right, and then I'll hand it back over to Dan for the next slide.
Dan, you are
You're still muted, Dan.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Alan. As for another activity under this initiative, the NJDOT, through a task order contract, is developing traffic signal pole and mast arm details based on the 2015 AASHTO LRFD requirements for signalized intersections installations, including backplates with retroreflective tape on traffic signal indications. Once the new details are completed, the NJDOT will require all new installations to include backplates and retroreflective tape on all signal indications. At this time, the NJDOT Bureau of Traffic, actually Division of Traffic Engineering, has been installing backplates on signal heads installed on steel mast arms whenever possible. At this time, the process is still ongoing. The consultant has submitted the draft details for the steel poles, mast arms, and foundations to us for review. This occurred in late October 2024. The draft is currently under review by SMEs from varying departments throughout NJDOT. Also, I want to note that we have an FHWA training on lighting, which has been scheduled for January 28th, 29th at NJDOT's Bordentown Training Center. Alan, do you want to say anything? You want to provide any more details on that? Alan?
Really nothing to cover at this point, just that it's coming up, as you said. So if anyone has been, I mean, you guys will kind of determine who's going to be invited for that, but it's coming, and something we've been working on for a while, so glad to finally see it, getting going.
Okay. So if anybody needs more information on that, just put something in the chat or contact me or Charu Jeegan. She's on this call as well. So that is all we have on our EDC 7 initiative for safety. Any questions? Shoot away. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan and Alan. Next, we have Shishant on behalf of Sudhir Joshi and Sutapa Bandopathyaya with updates from our planning and environmental team.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I have a quick update on planning and environmental side. So the first one is key points. What's the purpose of this update? Provide an overview of ongoing and planned initiatives in NJDOT's core innovation areas related to planning and environment. We are involved with the different stakeholders, including MPOs, federal, NJ Transit, Port Authority of NYNJ to support the state decarbonization goals and improve transportation infrastructures. And our objective is ensure alignment with the carbon reduction and environmental goals and continue to foster innovation in sustainable transportation planning. Next, please. So these are the like key innovation areas in transportation planning. So the first one is electrification and zero emission vehicles, which is like not limited to EV vehicles, but also like zero emission vehicles like a fuel cell or other alternative fuels that we can use to boost the to reduce the emission. So expand EV infrastructure to support state fleet and public access to charging stations. We have a Navy program for that. Partner with stakeholders to ensure widespread adoption of electric and alternative fuel vehicles. Second one is mass transit and active transportation promotion. Encourage the use of public transportation and active modes like cycling, walking. These are like micromobilities that we should promote, like nearby the shore area and other areas where we found like more people or more dense population. And the second one is the expand services and infrastructure to reduce single occupancy vehicle use and mitigate congestion. Third one is smart traffic management and efficient roadway operations, which include implementation of smart traffic systems to optimize flow and reduce congestion, cutting down on emissions. And the fourth one is sustainable construction and maintenance practices, use of recycled materials, low emission construction equipments to support greener road and projects. Next slide, please. For that, we have like there are multiple initiatives. First one is GHG emissions reduction target, NJDOT contribution to New Jersey's carbon reduction goal. We have set it up GHG targets for 2024, and we have submitted to federal. Second one is focus on lowering CO2 emissions through the transportation system improvements, including the electrification of transit fleets. Second one is carbon reduction strategies. Like we already developed our strategies and now we are effectively implementing on this. And we are planning to include in the STIP. So we can like go by the how much CO2 emission reduction they can like potentially any project can make, and we can prioritize accordingly with the different other factors. Right now we are like collaborating with MPO and stakeholder coordination. So ongoing collaboration with MPOs, like we have working group, carbon reduction working group meetings, and we are collaborating with MPOs and Transit and Port Authority too, and sharing the data to track the progress towards the emission reduction. Next slide, please. For now, like we are at the stage where we are like prioritizing the projects and creating the scoring criteria for GHG reductions, and development and implementation of ranking criteria for carbon reduction projects based on the GHG emissions impact, and project prioritization to ensure the alignment with the state and regional goals as well, and ongoing collaboration with the different state agencies, and also like funding and performance tracking for ensuring CMAQ and other funding sources are effectively used to meet our 4-year GHG reduction targets as well as CMAQ targets, and implement regular performance tracking and evaluation to adjust strategies as needed. Next slide, please. So that's our conclusion, like recap of the update on the this core innovation areas and planning environmental efforts, emphasizing collaboration and data sharing to achieve DOT's decarbonization goals. And our next step is like we are encouraging stakeholders to actively participate in this working group meetings and provide their efforts and suggestions. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for all your participation and happy holidays. Giri,
Thank
you're
you very
muted.
much, Sushant.
Thank you.
Next is Shivani Patel and Nunzio Merla from our infrastructure preservation team. Shivani, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'll start with EPIC. Since August, the internally cured concrete initiative team, led by Samar Rabi and Jess Mendenhall, have made noteworthy developments towards achieving key milestones. The team also continued work related to the EDC 6 UHPC innovation. Next slide, please. The team applied for and were awarded the STIC Incentive Program grant with a funding of $125,000. Per the application, the money will be spent on the following: the purchase of testing equipment and construction materials, such as steel reinforcement concrete, the hiring of a third-party lab to assist with concrete sampling and testing during construction, and the training of the NJDOT team on the use of the new testing equipment. Next slide, please. The first NJDOT internally cured HPC bridge deck project was awarded in October 2024. It is scheduled to be constructed in fall of 2026. The project is Northmont Avenue Bridge over 280, City of East Orange, Essex County. For this project, the team contacted the concrete suppliers on the NJDOT approved mixed plants list within the theoretical 90-minute area of the pilot project site. There are 9 suppliers operating 17 mixed plants within the 90-minute radius: SRM North Jersey, Richmond Ready Mix, Staten Island, New York, and Tanis Concrete, Fair Lawn, New Jersey, responded that they are ready to go on the high-performance internally cured concrete. They have also been supplying to New York State DOT. Next slide, please. The team is preparing for the final design submission of the candidate bridges within the pilot project program. In addition, they are scoping additional projects to add to the candidate bridge list. And finally, since acquiring the STIC incentive funding grant, the team is currently in the process of purchasing centrifuge apparatuses and other testing equipment for lightweight fine aggregate testing. This is the FHWA recommended method for quality control of determining the moisture content of lightweight fine aggregate. Next slide, please. In the next quarter, the team plans to continue coordination efforts with concrete suppliers in other regions of the state for the upcoming bridge within the pilot projects program. They will carry out the procurement process to purchase and acquire several centrifuge apparatuses and other testing equipment. In conjunction, the team will also need to update the HPIC specifications to incorporate the centrifuge apparatus elements. Next slide, please. NJDOT will host FHWA NJ Division and the Resource Center for an EPIC workshop in April 2025. I will be sure to share details once we finalize the date. Next slide, please. Okay, we have an update on the EDC 6 UHPC innovation. Last meeting, I shared that the UHPC team was working with the FHWA NJ Division and the FHWA Resource Center on a lessons learned publication on UHPC overlays. The TechNote experiences from the early implementations of UHPC overlays, which includes lessons learned from NJDOT, was released earlier this month, and we will share the publication in the chat pod. Next slide, please. Moving on to EPDs. Since August, the EPDs team has continued work on the first phase of the work plan, consisting of the 4 simultaneous research efforts. In addition, progress has been made towards the climate challenge project goals. We are also awaiting further direction from senior leadership regarding the EPD's initiative and its next steps. Next slide, please. The team began the process of reaching out to and coordinating with the New Jersey Asphalt Paving Association to obtain a list of asphalt plants in New Jersey that are producing bottom ridge base course mixture. Next slide, please. The team at NJDOT is working on the climate challenge project initiatives. Through the Climate Challenge Project 1, that is closely related to environmental project declarations, the research team is working on an effort to create an EPD to produce bottom-ridge base course asphalt mix. To do this, the team requires information about the materials and energy consumption in the plant for producing 1 ton of BRBC. Efforts related to both Climate Challenge projects continue to make great progress towards milestones. Next slide, please. In our research of other states' progress with institutionalizing EPDs, we have found 2 notable efforts that we would like to share. PennDOT has laid out a plan that will institutionalize EPDs by 2028. This is particularly notable because they are collecting EPDs without state mandates requiring them to do so. They have acted upon an opportunity to reduce negative environmental impacts of building and maintaining transportation infrastructure, while also identifying possible energy and cost savings for producers while manufacturing material. Beginning in 2025, PennDOT will collect EPDs for all asphalt mixtures. Producers will include EPDs when submitting their asphalt mixture job mix formulas for approval. In addition, PennDOT has partnered with the Pennsylvania Asphalt Pavement Association to develop additional guidance for including EPDs in this process. DelDOT began their EPD journey when the Delaware legislature passed the Delaware Climate Change Solutions Act of 2023, which set goals of 50% GHG reduction by 2030 and net zero by 2050. The state also required its agencies to develop construction preferences by July 2025. Asphalt was selected as the first material for which they will be requesting EPDs. Subsequently, they will institute requirements for other materials in phases. DelDOT has developed EPD specification language and is reviewing with industry partners. The agency met with the Delaware Asphalt Pavement Association to lay out short-term and long-term vision of program and to gain insight and buy-in. In the plan, 2025 began the process of collecting data for asphalt EPDs when suppliers submit job mix formulas. Then DelDOT plans to analyze the data for benchmarking and future reduction targets. Starting in 2026, the state will use a specification with incentives and disincentives. No penalties will be implemented for the first year or so to help the DOT and industry get acclimated with the new process requirements. DelDOT will use the EDC6 e-ticketing initiative platform for the EPD collection. Part of DelDOT's long-term vision is to incentivize industry to use EPD data by adding an environmental component to its typical evaluation process during bidding. These are just 2 examples of innovative practices used by states to implement the use of EPDs. Both have recognized the importance of building a strong partnership with industry early in the planning process to gain buy-in. These cases can be great tools to assist NJDOT in future efforts. Next slide, please. For the upcoming quarter, team members will continue working on research efforts, including reaching out to PennDOT, DelDOT, and other state transportation agencies who are pursuing the use of EPDs as an effort towards achieving greenhouse gas emissions reduction goals. Staff will continue the process of researching and learning more about EPDs and the current best practices and challenges faced in requiring and collecting EPDs during project procurement. Team members will also continue on tasks for the 2 projects related to FHWA's climate challenge. We also hope to obtain a decision from senior leadership on the direction of our to-be effort on and next steps for this initiative. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivani. Next, we have Vandana Mathur and Ek Pamsawat from Mobility and Operations.
Thanks, Kerry. Tom Murphy from my unit will be doing that.
Okay,
Are
Vandana.
you ready, Tom?
Of course.
Great.
Thank you so much. As Vandana said, my name is Tom Murphy. I'm going to talk to you about a couple of projects we've been working with the ITS Resource Center, as well as some advancements in our EDC 7 goals. First, the first thing I'm going to talk about here is our expansion of our Weather Savvy pilot. For those of you who do not know, this is a pilot we started back pre-COVID, where we put weather sensors, laptops, and cameras into some of our operations vehicles to get better real-time data about what's going on our roads during winter weather events. Initially, it started with about 24 vehicles, and at the end of 2023 and throughout most of 2024, we expanded that to an additional 45 vehicles. It took a little bit of time to get this done, just scheduling with installers and having availability on their end to get this done. But with this, we had an increased focus on plows as opposed to operations supervisors, pickup trucks, or some other vehicles that we had. And it's because plows are out there during the entire storm from the beginning to the end. Someone's shift is up, they get out, refuel it, and it gets right back out on the road. So that was kind of our focus as we expanded this going forward. Next slide, please. Now, we don't do this alone. We do this in conjunction with the ITS Resource Center over at NJIT, led by Dr. Dan Bashinsky and Dr. Branislav Dmitrievich. And some of the improvements that they had for this program as we move forward was to try to put the hardware that we use kind of in a more secure location in these plows. If you've ever been in one of these plows or during a storm or right after a storm, they're a bit of a mess. There's water, there's salt, etc. that kind of gets everywhere. And so to try to protect the hardware that we have, we took the router, we take the fuses, a fuse box, and some other stuff, and put it in a box and put it underneath the seat with a plexiglass lid to try to protect those units, and just to try to make the system a little bit more secure. Keeps out the water, dirt, and it prevents some tampering potentially as well. Next slide, please. So the other major pilot we have been working on is our truck parking pilot. This started back in 2021 at the truck parking lot in Harding, right near our SSP yard. And in 2023, we expanded that to Carney's Point, right down by the Delaware Memorial Bridge in 2023. Now, the data that's gathered at these lots, and the data comes from cameras, microwave sensors, and pavement sensors. It's available on a web portal that NJIT has created for us, where we can see how long a spot has been occupied, how many spots are open, and we can get a little bit more granular with the data and look at it. Okay, so during winter months at night, it's 95% of the spots are filled. It allows us to understand a little bit more how our truck parking is utilized and how we can potentially better serve commercial vehicle drivers moving forward. Because we do know that this is a hot topic in transportation, especially here in New Jersey, considering that we are a major freight corridor with Route 80, the Turnpike, etc. We have a lot of commercial vehicle traffic, and one of the things we know is that commercial vehicle drivers, on the top of their list is having available truck parking is one of their biggest concerns. So now that we've had this up and running for a little while, one of the things our next steps for next year is to actually put a couple portable DMS signs about 5 miles outside of the Harding yard or Harding lot to let drivers know how many spots are available, and if there's something that's there for them. So we're trying to figure out the exact spots and procuring the DMS boards to get this up and running. But it's something that we're really excited about to try to move this forward just a little bit more, because it's great that we have the data, but it's not doing anything for the commercial vehicle drivers if we're not putting it out there for them. What I have there on the screen is just kind of a generic thing you'd see at an airport, but we're going to have something that's specific just to the Harding lot and how many spots are there. In addition, we are looking to potentially expand to the Knowlton truck parking lot in 2025, and that's something I hope to deliver future updates on at a future STIC meeting. Next slide, please. Now, there are two things I seem to always be talking to people about here at the DOT, and the first is Weather Savvy, and the second seems to be DriveWise. DriveWise is a service that we purchase through the Eastern Transportation Coalition, and it provides data to us about alerts issued to commercial vehicle drivers about sudden slowdowns, congestion, as well as other static warnings like low bridges, high turnover potential, and also some other alerts that we've created I'll get to in a moment. Now, what I have here is the actual Tableau dashboard that we get from DriveWise. And so the blue bars that you kind of see there in those boxes, those are congestion ahead alerts that drivers see. It also gives us some of the most active corridors by alert counts, heat maps, and ways to really kind of drill down to see what some problem areas are. But we get these alerts, or we get this Tableau with the alerts, but we want to know how accurate it is. We know the TETC does some data verification, but they kind of rotate the states based on each year. And so we wanted to take our own independent look at this and to see what was going on. Next slide, please. So with the team over at NJIT, we had them actually go ahead and drive 2 different loops, one through North Jersey, one through Central Jersey, and it was with a couple of objectives. First, we gave them the list of the static alerts that we had given DriveWise, and to make sure that those alerts are in fact going out and they are reaching drivers. The second is to go out and drive and see, are you getting these sudden slowdown alerts? Are you getting the congestion ahead alerts? And if so, where are you getting them? When are you getting them, etc. So NJIT went out on 4 different days, and during AM peak rush between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. and they went with a GPS logging application alongside the DriveWise application to record the precise location data and the real-time traffic conditions. Next slide, please. So this is the information we got back from NJIT, and bless them for going out and voluntarily just sitting in traffic and trying to find congestion, because we all know that's just about what we all try to avoid on a daily basis. So on their 2 different loops, 18 of the 19 of the static alerts they did receive. One of them, and the one that they didn't receive, is one that we found out the DriveWise just placed in the wrong location. So it wasn't so much that it wasn't there, it's just that it was slightly off on the map. But the one thing that was concerning to us was the 0% congestion alerts. NJIT had run into at least 25 points where this should have come up, and they did not receive any data. And in addition, they got 2 unexpected alerts. One was that there was a DriveWise site for a weigh station, which isn't surprising considering the other part of DriveWise business is kind of like the pre-clearance for truck weights. And the other was letting drivers know that the George Washington Bridge exit, that one particular exit was for passenger cars only. And after looking at it a little bit, we saw that was kind of the last point where drivers can make a decision before taking which exit. So it was giving drivers that notification, hey, you can't take that one exit, you have to go a different way. So drilling down to that, it made some sense, but looking at that 0%, that was a bit of a concern. Next slide, please. So these are the 2 routes that were taken. The north routes being in red, the central ones being in blue. It covered highways like 78 or I-78, New Jersey 440, 280, the Turnpike, I-80, 287. And so the blue circles is where there was a congestion, the light blue circles was where we had given DriveWise alerts to put in, and the yellow says they received it. Some of the other areas, or let me back up, but what we didn't receive were any congestion zone alerts. Now, we had a meeting with DriveWise actually yesterday where we spoke to our representative there. And previously DriveWise had given us demo apps, so it's like NJDOT was a mock fleet in their group. And apparently one of the things they did not set up when we were doing this was for us to receive these congestion alerts. And talking with other states through the TETC, like North Carolina, we realized that they were also not getting those same alerts. So we brought this to DriveWise attention. They said, "Oh yeah, no, we messed up, and so we're going to fix that." So they just did that a couple days ago. So in the new year, we are going to go have NJIT go do a little bit more driving and a little bit more sitting in traffic to see what improvements happen, and that's something we're quite anxious for, because we do a lot of talking about DriveWise and the work we've done with them, specifically adding alerts for no trucks in the left lane, because if you're anything like me, sitting behind a tractor trailer going 60 in the left lane drives you nuts. Knowing that we're putting this out there at least gives me a little bit of peace of mind, but it'd be great to know that they're getting the safety alerts that what we really care about, letting them know that there is that congestion ahead so they can prepare, because these things are massive and just take a lot longer to slow down. So if they know a queue is coming, they can adjust accordingly. Next slide, please. Now for EDC 7, we kind of focus on next generation TIM and technology for saving lives. This year we have installed light towers that are equipped on NJDOT Incident Management Response trucks, or IMERT trucks, to provide lighting at incident scenes, as well as utilizing LED flares at those incident scenes. Both of those things are now institutionalized here at the NJDOT, as well as us offering the real-time alerts for the truck drivers for the slowdown and the congestion. Next slide, please. And then last but not least, we do a lot of great work here at the NJDOT, supported by the FHWA, and Vandana, in conjunction with AIC, jointly submitted an article to the FHWA Accelerating Innovation Programs in Washington for consideration to be in the EDC newsletter for the EDC Innovation Spotlight. It was under the category of shine a spotlight on EDC innovation deployments in New Jersey, and that title was NJDOT deploys advanced warning messages for truck drivers. So it's something we've been very passionate about, and something we've certainly wanted to put forth, not just to everyone here at STIC and the other meetings we've had, but nationally. We want people to know what we're doing for a group like commercial vehicle drivers who just any little bit extra they can get. We're trying to do that for them. And that's all I've got. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you so much, Tom. Yeah. Thank you so much,
questions?
Tom. Yeah. So Vandana, we'll take the questions next once we finalize everything. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom, again for the wonderful presentation. So next, our final update from Crystal Walker and Chris Page from our CAA team, Organizational Support and Improvement. Crystal.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, just get started. All right, so we're still in the implementation plan. So within the development stage, there has been an update. So funding was approved by FHWA as of November 2024. So the new plan is to facilitate an in-house process to hire a consultant to actually start the program. Next slide. So within the contractor compliance unit, collaboration efforts still continue with the Office of Federal Contractor Compliance, OFCCP, on best practices, and also engaging with the state transportation agencies with effective workforce development plans as it relates to webinars and on-the-job training projects. In addition to that, NJDOT is working on a mega project with the OFCCP. There will be a workforce oversight that will commence in or around March 2025. And the OFCCP would like to work with NJDOT to host information sessions on workforce development, also project-specific training, as well as assist in partnering with unions as it relates to the union apprenticeship training programs. Next slide, please. So within the contractor compliance unit, collaboration efforts continue on with, there was a recent construction contractor industry meeting, which was held on December 2nd of earlier this month. So the topics that were discussed were unions and apprenticeship programs and the concerns rising with the increase of memberships due to aging markets, methodologies to increase membership, spreading awareness to technical advancements within the industry. And within the next meeting schedule with the construction contractor industry, which will be held on January 2025, the topics that will be discussed now that funding has been established is They are hoping that more unions will be at the table because that has been an ongoing concern that the unions aren't at the table because their buy-in is very important and that will help different initiatives move forward and not just a union representation. So hopeful that actual unions will be at the tables starting in 2025 so more initiatives can move forward. Next slide, please. And that is the conclusion of our update. Is there any questions?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much, Crystal.
everybody.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you all the CIA teams for those updates for us today. And let's have like quick like three minutes for if you have any questions. If you want to ask through mic, please raise your hand so I can give as the priority, or you can put your questions in the chat if you have any questions for our CA team leads. So I didn't see any hand raise here, and I didn't see any questions in the chat also. So with that, so next we'll go right into our feature presentation today. As a reminder, you can have any questions in the chat, or you can wait until the presentation finalized by Jeevan. Then you can ask the questions on the feature presentation too. So with that, Jeevan, please take the stage.
Thank you very much, Giri, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present on Safe System Approach in New Jersey. You must have, next slide, please. You must have all heard about the Safe System Approach and our initiative on driving towards zero deaths. Most of you were participants in the 2020 Strategic Highway Safety Plan, where we adopted a goal of zero deaths and serious injuries on New Jersey's roadways by 2050. And this is where the logo to your right, you see that slogan came from, right? Driving towards zero deaths. We are getting ready to start our initiative for the update to the 2020 Strategic Highway Safety Plan in the 2025 Strategic Highway Safety Plan. And this is an opportunity for all of you to get involved in helping us get to our goal. Firstly, let me start by saying Safe System Approach is a principles-based solution approach, and it relies on us accepting the foremost thing that fatalities on our transportation system are not something that we need to accept. Death and serious injuries on our roadways are unacceptable and preventable. So today, while I'm going through this presentation, I would request all of you to think about the realistic notions while I'm going through the principles. It's not just a theological or a philosophical prospect. It is something that is so well rooted in realism. So I would like you to think about what you have been doing, what we have been doing. Yeah, please don't share it with anybody, but it'll help you understand where we can get better while we're driving towards zero deaths. Next slide, please. So why do we need SSA? SSA, Safe System Approach. Fatal and serious injury crash trends, as you can see, are increasing, and they have been during the recent years. It is a trend that is prevalent throughout the nation, but of course, we have, for 2024, broken away from the national trend. We've increased year to date our fatalities in New Jersey. As you can see, 2023 was trending the right way. Unfortunately, 2024 does not carry forward that trend. So if this is not something that jolts you into action, I don't think anyone will, because these are not just numbers. These are people. These are somebody's family, somebody's friend, somebody's son or daughter. And this is something that we need to realize, that we're making a difference in the lives of people when we are working really hard in driving towards zero fatalities on our roadways. Next slide, please. So New Jersey DOT evaluates 5-year rolling averages as our performance measure that we have to forward to the FHWA. The 5 performance measures are number of fatalities, rate of fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles, number of serious injuries, similarly the rate of serious injuries per 100 million vehicle miles, and the number of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. What you see on your screen is an annual target that is derived from the 5-year rolling average that we have to submit to FHWA. So if anybody's interested in what we submitted, it is available on the internet through the FHWA annual safety report. Now, in order to achieve that 5-year rolling average, we need to reduce the number of fatalities on our roadways in 2025 alone to 494. We are currently at over 60 year to date. So you know that we have our work cut out for us in 2025. Next slide, please. So as most of you here would know already what SSA is, I would like to start with a very quick overview. In a nutshell, safe system approach is an effective way to address and mitigate the inherent risk. SSA is about anticipating human mistakes, knowing that humans will make mistakes, and managing the roadway infrastructure and our behavior to keep the risk low. The safe system approach takes into account that although zero deaths is the goal, humans will make mistakes, and applying the approach means a mistake. When a mistake is made, it leads to a crash rather than a fatality. So our goal has moved away from mitigating all crashes to mitigating the severity of crashes. To understand the safe system approach, the first thing that we all need to accept is that fatalities and serious injuries are preventable. The safe system approach requires a supporting safety culture that places safety first in the roadway system and investment decisions. The New Jersey DOT, as you heard, is committed to achieving its goal of zero deaths by implementing the safe system approach. Our 2025 annual safety targets that we proposed and you've seen on the screen in the past slide are a testament of how committed we are to make these strides into the future. Next slide, please. So as I said, it's a principle-based solution approach. So what are the 6 principles that we have for safe system approach? Next slide. The first one is, as I have been, I guess when we'll get to it, I'll tell you redundancy is crucial. Death and serious injury is unacceptable. While no crashes are desirable, the safe system approach prioritizes that crashes that result in death and serious injury need to be prevented and mitigated, since no one should experience either when using our transportation system. As I said, we have a goal of eliminating deaths on our roadways by 2050. Next slide, please. Humans make mistakes. And when I said, I want you to realistically think about how you have been driving on the road, we've all made mistakes. And it is inherently that people will inevitably make mistakes that lead to crashes. But on the flip side, the transportation system can be designed and operated to accommodate those human mistakes, such that injury tolerances are increased and death and serious injury are avoided. Next slide, please. And we've all seen We've all been in positions where we've been hurt. We know that humans are vulnerable. People have a limited ability to tolerate crash impacts before death and serious injury occurs. Human tolerance to crash impacts is central to the safe system approach. The management of kinetic energy transfer. Most of us are engineers and most of us have math in school. So we understand the kinetic energy is a formula that is based on two things. One is the speed and two is the mass. So the transfer of kinetic energy to within survivable limits for humans is important to the understanding of design and operation of our roadway system, which is consistent with the safe system philosophy. The safe system focused approach does not focus on just managing speed, but it focuses on managing the transfer of kinetic energy. Next slide, please. For all of us, we know responsibility, if you want to make meaningful difference, is shared. We all are part of this system. We as stakeholders, government at all levels, industry, nonprofit organization, advocacy groups, researchers, and we as general public are vital to preventing fatalities and serious injuries on our roadways. We all carry equal responsibility to promote safe behavior in our professional and personal lives and to ensure that crashes do not lead to fatal and serious injury outcomes. Next slide. Safety is proactive. This is something that senior leadership that is on the call today would know very well. How many times they have gotten a letter from citizens saying, how many more people do you want to die before you do anything? And it is very hard to answer those types of letters, calls. So it is imperative for us to start thinking in terms of preventing crashes before they happen, specifically the serious crashes before they happen. And this is where we're going to think about a risk-based mitigation, not a historical-based mitigation. So not just looking at a history of crashes, but looking forward to seeing, okay, if we design a system this way, this could be the possibility of crashes happening, and then mitigate those. Next slide, please. And as I said, and I will repeat constantly, all these principles, redundancy is crucial. Reducing risk requires that all parts of the roadway system are strengthened so that if one part fails, people are still protected. The transfer of kinetic energy is still reduced. FHWA talks about a Swiss cheese model. And within that, you have what we'll talk about later, elements. Each element has holes. That is where our failures are. But what we need to ensure is that those holes, those failures, do not align such that a crash gets to a position of serious injury and fatality. Next slide, please. So when we talked about the principles, I just said this is not a philosophical approach. This is based in reality. So how is it based in reality? So while we have several examples of programs at NJDOT that highlight all of these principles individually and together, I would like to share just one such example due to time constraints. And this example talks about proactive safety, right? So NJDOT conducted a systemic analysis for high risk locations or ramps with wrong way driving risks, not crashes, risks. And as part of this analysis, we looked at the ramp length, curvature, distance to the other ramp, median type, shoulder widths, and other variables to identify risks. So the higher risk locations we're working on those high risk locations with multiple partners, one of them being ITS. And this wrong way driving detection system includes is one of those countermeasures, and it includes a dynamic flashing warning light that is activated when a wrong way driver is detected. and via sensors, and you have signs that give them the ability to alert them and make a choice if they want to continue down the same road and make corrections. In the next slide, I think you will see a video of that. Next slide, please, Gary. And if you can play the video. You see the vehicle coming up the ramp in the wrong direction. You see this light. So that is the system activating, letting the driver know that they have come in the wrong way. And the driver now chooses to make a turn. Hopefully not fishtailing. And go the right way back. So this is one system that helps us mitigate the risk of a severe crash happening. Next slide, please. So as I said, there are 5 elements. What are those 5 elements? They are the conduits through which the SSA is implemented. Making a commitment to zero deaths means addressing each and every one of these components on our system. The 5 elements include safer road users, safer vehicles, safer speeds, safer roads, and post-crash care. Again, if one part fails, it is our imperative to ensure that others don't fail at the same time. So it does not constitute a complete failure of the system leading to a serious injury or death. Next slide. So what is safe road users? The safe system approach addresses the safety of all road users, including those who walk, bike, drive and then ride transit, and those that travel by other modes. All road users are considered equal, regardless of how they choose to travel, because the principles apply to all those road users. Each road user, however, has a responsibility to operate while they are on the system to the best of their ability within the boundaries set by law. And of course, education and enforcement can help with user behavior, but we hope that through our interaction on through these conferences and meetings and presentations, that we align ourselves to being safe road users rather than go through the route of enforcement. Next slide. So safe vehicles include active safety measures to help prevent crashes from occurring, specifically the ones with the highest severity risk. Some of those systems that are included in our vehicles are autonomous emergency braking, and there are certain passive safety measures such as seat belts and airbags that prevent and protect the occupant, reducing the transfer of kinetic energy in case a crash happens. Vehicle manufacturers, of course, are a key stakeholder in this, continuing to ensure safety. And we are working with them through various meetings and forums, such as through our ITS forum and also through Safety Forum, to engage them in discussions, and they have been very receptive. Next slide, please. As I said, we have a certain tolerance for impact. We are very unlikely to survive high-speed crashes or crashes, even though they are low speed with heavier vehicles. Adjusting speeds can accommodate, because speed is the V square in the equation, can accommodate human injury tolerances in 3 ways. 1, it can reduce impact forces. 2, it provides additional time for drivers to stop. And 3, it improves visibility. If you're driving slow, everything around you is not a blur. In other words, There is a direct link between safe speeds and our ability to survive a crash. Next slide. Now, this is something that we do on a day in and day out basis. This is our bread and butter, is safe roads. What are safe roads? These are the roads that are designed and they are operated to first prevent severe crashes from occurring. But when they do occur, prevent the elements to align together so that they do not result in severe crashes. We do this by separating users in time and space and by implementing measures that increase attentiveness and awareness. And you've had a glimpse of that through all the presentations and the updates that we have throughout the session today. Next slide, please. And finally, post-crash care. Let's say everything else fails. How to ensure that the person survives the severe crash that has happened. This is the last line of defense. Incident management is the umbrella for the actions of those that respond to the crash. It includes law enforcement, emergency medical care, towing and recovery, and more. Restoring traffic as safely and as quickly as possible helps avoid secondary crashes. Traffic incident management also ensures that when everything else fails, they are there to take care at the moment when the person needs it most. And you would hear from Vandana and her team and also from NJDOT that we have a very robust TIM program, Traffic Incident Management Program, as a part of which various trainings are available as well. So those are the 5 elements. Moving on to the next slide. And as always, as I did with the principles, I'll just highlight one project that we're doing that encapsulates all of those elements together in one. Like 129 in Mercer County between Route 29 and Route 1. It is a pedestrian and bike safety improvement project. But if you look at the corridor has no access other than at intersections. There are no driveways. There are no points for entry other than at the intersections of Lalor, Cass, and Hamilton. So if you look at the US Limits 2, which is the software that US DOT FHWA developed in order to figure out the target speed for that corridor, the target speed for this corridor should be 50 miles an hour. It is posted at this time for 45 miles an hour, but we still see a lot of pedestrian safety concerns, a history of pedestrian fatalities, and this has been Route 129 and Lalor has been flagged as the worst intersection in the country. I'm not saying New Jersey, in the country. So we had some interim and some long-term improvements planned for this corridor. The interim short-term improvements is the all-red clearance extension, which provides for pedestrians the ability to, 1, passively being detected so they do not have to push the button. They get the pedestrian crossing come up when they are detected at the side of the road. And 2 is active detection. The active detection ensures that if the pedestrian is in the crosswalk, actively crossing the roadway, and does not have time to safely cross till the flashing do not walk expires, the all red phase ensures that the conflicting traffic, the traffic that could come and hit the pedestrian, is not released till the pedestrian is safely on the other side. So it extends the all red phase of the signal. What are we doing in the long term? This is one corridor, I kid you not, will be the example for the entire country where we are designing for a target speed. As I said, the posted speed limit is 45. The target design speed is 35, and the proposed posted speed limit along this corridor will be 30 miles an hour. As you all will understand, we have a certain list of countermeasures or a toolbox of countermeasures that we can design for at certain speeds. So if it was posted for 45 miles per hour, the design speed would have been 50 miles per hour. Some of the traffic calming countermeasures in the toolbox will not be applicable to this corridor. So designing the corridor for a target of 35 and a posted of 30 gives us access to that toolbox, such as chicanes, such as raised crosswalks, right? We get that ability to design for safer road users and present a safer design for our roadway. This is one of the innovative breaking news kind of corridor, albeit it's still in concept development. It probably is just moving to preliminary engineering in the very near future. So early stages of design. But this is something that we have been working very hard with, and our entire DOT subject matter experts that are part of this project, they have been very, very receptive to this endeavor. Next slide, please. So we have various FHWA tools and resources to help us figure out how the alignment with safe system approach works. And if you scan these, you can get to, if you scan the QR code, you can get to those resources. I'll give you a very brief highlight of the two resources that we've been working on with our FHWA partners before I end my presentation. Next slide, please. So the first one is the Safe System Road Design Hierarchy, RDH. Widespread implementation of safety countermeasure that support the safe system approach can accelerate achieving local, state, and national safety goals. The Safe System Road Design Hierarchy is a tool available to characterize engineering and infrastructure-based countermeasures and strategies relative to their alignment with the goal of eliminating fatalities and serious injuries and the support of safe system approach. It also provides a greater understanding of the principles and their connection to the SSA with the FHWA's proven safety countermeasures that you have all been hearing of for a long time. And this is readily accessible and is available for use now. You don't have to wait to start implementing many of these countermeasures. So very quickly, what is RDH? You think about safer roads, and you are designing roads through a tiered system. The first tier, of course, is why don't we design to remove the conflict that could cause serious crashes completely. Most of the time, we understand that it takes a lot of effort, both in terms of resources and in terms of money and time. So there might be some times where we cannot do that. So what do we do next if we cannot remove severe conflicts? Then we look at designing roads for managing speeds. Managing speeds so that the transfer of kinetic energy is minimized. There are certain times where we cannot even do that. For example, you have interstates that are designed for high speeds, and you have crashes that do happen at high speeds. But I don't think anyone will be happy when I say let's move all the speeds to 25 miles an hour in the state of New Jersey, right? We're talking about managing speeds. If we cannot do that for certain corridors, then we manage conflicts in time. For example, pedestrian interval, exclusive pedestrian interval, lead pedestrian interval. So we give them time to make their presence felt or time to cross. So we're separating the modes in time. And finally, if that also does not work in that particular scenario, then we do something to increase attentiveness and awareness through signs, through pavement markings, and through education and enforcement. So that is, in a nutshell, the roadway design hierarchy from FHWA. Next slide, please. And the second tool that we have is a spreadsheet-based tool. Now, this talks about the project-based alignment framework. I won't have time to get into the details of the framework, so I want to provide a very high-level overview and encourage you to go online to FHWA's Safety Resource Center page to download this spreadsheet and try it out. It's pretty easy, and it's very friendly to navigate. So the FHWA framework has both qualitative and quantitative elements to it. You see the arrows and where those qualitative and quantitative variables exist and where is the overlap. This is easier to do than the HSM analysis that you've been forced to do for HSIP projects, and we are aligning our HSIP manual to help ensure that there is compatibility with the safe system approach in our HSIP manual. And finally, the last slide. I think that's the last slide. So we've almost the last slide. So we've had an SSA workshop to which was a multi-agency collaboration to understand SSA in New Jersey and identify the opportunities for implementation of SSA and alignment within New Jersey. Now, to understand this, we gathered examples which we consider our best practices. And through this workshop, we have used the information and input that we got to develop a New Jersey-based SSA training, which is on the next slide. We are now probably tying the ribbon to this training that will introduce a safe system approach and recognize our personal and our professional role in implementation. Okay, with the key takeaways that are listed on the slide. We've had a pilot training already done, and we're taking the input from that pilot training and reinforcing our and revising our literature to now transfer over to train the trainer, where every one of our partners can take this and run with it and provide us feedback so we can continuously update the training. And our goal is to stay informed on the SSA and empower practitioners to start using the fundamentals and provide examples from New Jersey so they are relatable. And the last two slides, as Assistant Commissioner Eric Powers mentioned, that we have updated our Complete Streets policy, Policy 703, which was effective November 26, 2024. It promotes a comprehensive, integrated, connected multimodal network. And the Complete Streets policy can be found on both the intranet and the internet. And it develops the compliance checklists for limited scope and for full scope projects. This is very integral to our safe system approach, where we talk about all road users. So Complete Streets policy update has been a key component of our safe system approach principle here at New Jersey DOT. And finally, what is our vision? Brief moment to talk about the overall vision for New Jersey DOT integration of the SSA. We see this as a framework to proactively integrate safety planning and engineering into all of our projects, safety specific or not. This starts with all of us, starts with the state, the local, county, MPO level, personally and professionally, with all of us thinking differently on how we plan and build our projects. As I just said, we must focus on all road users and take a principled approach that fatalities and serious injuries are unacceptable. So let us start planning and building a system which provides redundancies and provides a safer system for all of our road users. Our vision to that safer roads start here and start now. We must all adopt the principles of SSA. We do not need senior leadership approval to look at our plans and say, hey, can we do better? We all can and we know that we can, and we know that we will. So hereby, I guess, anointing you all as the knights of Safe System Approach and the ambassadors of Safe System Approach, I cede the floor back to Giri, who's been patiently waiting and letting me know that you're over time.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jeevan, for very insightful presentation on SSA, approaches. And I now open the floor for any questions for Jeevan on her presentation, or any questions regarding SSA. You can raise your hand, or you can put the question in the chat box. Okay, Alan, please unmute yourself.
Oh, I hope Alan doesn't have a question. He's just adding
It's
on
not
to
a
what I said.
question. It's not a question. No, I just really wanted to acknowledge the passion and the hard work from Jeevan and Dan and Frank and their whole team with safety and data. This is really challenging stuff to wrap your head around. We're not philosophers here. We're engineers and planners, and this is a philosophical approach, which is very, very challenging for a lot of us to, wrap our head around. But they've really embraced this. There's a lot of evidence from around the world that this approach, this philosophy, can really pay dividends. But it is really hard to take this and figure out how can we work this into our process. And I think everybody will acknowledge that we're still early in this process. But they've done a really great job of really trying to wrestle with this philosophy and figure out how to actually translate it tangibly. I attended their first draft of the training that is coming out, and I'll tell you, if you get an opportunity to attend it, I would certainly encourage you to. Even in their draft format, it was phenomenal, and they did a great job of really looking at it tangibly and figuring out how you, as a practitioner, can run with the safe system approach. So I really applaud that work. And New Jersey in that regard is really in the forefront, as I understand, are the first state to really roll out this kind of training, and there's a lot there. So there's a lot of value you can get from it. And some of the projects that you kind of had to rattle through fairly quickly, Jeevan, there's some really great examples there as well, especially 29. We've talked about that a number of times. I think that's a project that we'll see you receiving national attention. I certainly hope. It's a great project. So I just wanted to acknowledge you and the rest of the folks in your team. It's really hard stuff to work with, and you guys have really taken the bull by the horns and really run with it. So thank you.
And I'd like to echo that back to you, Alan. Thank you for being a great partner.
Thank you.
Jeevan, I see one question on the chat. Also, I see a lot of congratulations on your new promotion too. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Jeevan, did I hear you indicate that NJDOT will be revising their HCIP application and process to align with the safe system approach and moving away from the HSM analysis?
So, Jennifer, at this point in time, I think we're starting with our internal processes. So the HCIP manual is being revised. So we'll be unveiling that also very shortly. And for our HCIP manual, we are actually moving away from specifically saying HSM analysis and characterizing that as data-driven safety analysis, a DDSA, which gives us the flexibility of opening the door towards other analyses in case that the HSM analysis is either not feasible or not applicable to that particular facility. So once we unveil our HCIP manual for the state, we will work with you guys, all our MPO partners, to look at the local safety applications and see if there are any means of alignment needed, and or if we can just change HSM analysis to a data-driven safety analysis in the application, and that will align it better to the safe system approach. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeevan. Any other questions? Jeevan, I have one question actually. So it's about the video. So
you get the video.
Yeah, the video, in that video, the driver, how you send the alerts, like through the phone or to the flash or to the board?
No, we have a sign. We have a sign right now. Okay. At this point in time, we have a sign that actually lights up, says wrong way.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it gives the feedback to the driver right there in front of you. So we have multiple sign placements down the ramp.
Okay.
So if they miss the first one, they have a second one. As I said, redundancy is crucial. Mm-hmm. And if all of those fail, then through our traffic management centers, we have the ability to bring up wrong way driver ahead on some of the DMS, some of the strategic DMS boards on the highways, mm-hmm. and also at the same time alert the enforcement officers so they can mitigate or prevent probably a severe crash from happening, because we all know that the wrong way driving crashes are always resulting in fatalities or very severe injuries. The very mm-hmm. severe head-on type crashes, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're not just looking at those wrong way driving systems for detection systems for all of our ramps. There are certain ramps and certain exit entry points that can be mitigated for wrong way driving by just maybe extending the curb a little. Mm-hmm. So we will be working on those as well as we work through our systemic analysis hierarchy. So we have in our systemic analysis, we identified multiple countermeasures for multiple layers of risk. Mm-hmm. So we'll be working, you'll be seeing a lot more wrong way driving mitigation projects in the pipeline soon.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jeevan. Last call for any questions for Jeevan. Okay, I hear none. Thank you so much, Jeevan, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Next, before we adjourn today, so we have some reminders and announcements for us. So next slide, please. Next slide. Oh, can you, Devin, can you go back? Sorry. Yeah. So please visit our website, tech transfer website, for STIC related news or any other news regarding the research and innovation. So you can find all this information here. We have STIC information, articles, meeting recordings, and summaries for you to review. And also STIC grant guidance. Also, we have everything on our tech transfer website. So please do visit this website for more updates on STIC. So next. So we also welcome you to submit your research ideas or innovation ideas on our portal, research ideas portal, which is at NJDOT Tech Transfer website too. So the due date is December 31st. So if we for our ROC review which is going to happen in 2025 January period. So please, if you want to be considered in that cycle, so please we request you to submit your research ideas or innovation ideas that you want to exercise. So please do visit Tech Transfer website for that information. Next, please. And a quick reminder following Chris' presentation too. So if you have any proven innovations that you have seen that it's worth to submit to the STIC nationwide, so please do submit those proven innovations so we can submit for EDC 8 cycle. Next, please. And also for the STIC incentive program. So every year we have $125K STIC funding, which we can allocate it to the EDC initiative deployments or pilot projects. So any other innovations. So please do take the advantage of the STIC funding. So all the necessary steps that's needed for the application process are at the website, which is shown in blue color here, our tech transfer website. Or if you want to know what the other states are funding for their STICs programs, so you can find here the website, which is shown below the white color here, FSWA website. So please do visit these two websites for more updates. Next, announcements. Next. So in the last meeting, we showed you the process that we are applying for NJDOT LCDM grant program, and we are so excited to announce the whole STIC that we received the award for 27.85 million for LCDM grant program, so which we're gonna administer this program to see low carbon materials, how we're gonna incorporate in our projects. As Shivani mentioned in her presentation too, the EPDs and all other aspects of the low carbon materials. So Brit is leading this effort, and duration of this project is about 6 years, which we are planning to kick in 2025 first quarter. So big congratulations to NJDOT and all the team members who involved in the grant program. Next, please. So please mark your calendars. So I'll be sending the meeting invites for next year meetings also for our first triannual meeting in 2025, which is we schedule on April 30th. So I'll be sending all the meeting invites from now onwards. And if you need to include any one of your colleagues, or if you want to include any any organizations, please contact us or reach out to any Brit staff so that we can include you in the mailing list. So for our next CIA feature presentation is from infrastructure and preservations. Next. So thank you all our speakers, our CA team, team leads and council members and implementation team members, all of your friends. So the entire team here, we make our nationally recognized award-winning STIC here. And I would like to take this opportunity and thank Amanda Gendek, Deputy Director, who laid the strong foundation for our STIC over the past several years. And she just passed on the torch for us to move forward. And we thank her for all her service for the STIC, and we looking forward for her support in the future too. And also, I would like to thank Pragna Shah, our new bureau manager, for her support in all the endeavors that we are trying to do with using this STIC. With that, thank you so much for all of your support, and happy holidays. Drive safe and enjoy your rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Giri. Thank you.
Thank you, Giri.
Okay.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Be safe. Happy holidays.
Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.